now in the Francophone Afrique, and that man is President Mamadi Doumbouya. So, according to the information we have, on Friday, August 14th, President Mamadi Doumbouya landed back in Conakry, and thousands of people lined the streets to welcome him back. According to information, some of the people that were peddling rumor about his health were even among those who were spectating and were waving their hands in ecstasy to receive President Mamadi Doumbouya in Conakry. Let me say this: in the days of trials and tribulation, even your enemies will be among your cheerleaders. That is the manuscript of politics. Not everybody saying, hey, not everybody waving at you is your friend. Because I was shocked to have seen that some of the hard line enemies of Mamadi Doumbouya were among the people that lined the streets to receive him when he landed back in Conakry. Now here is the sideline, okay? Let me not say that those people who were peddling rumor about his health, let me not say they were excited about his return. Can we say that they were there to welcome him in person, hoping to see him? Just to clarify that, all right, when he came back to the country, we saw him. Maybe they wanted to see if Mamadi Doumbouya was in good shape or if he was in bad shape. These are the type of people we have right now. Now, on the surface, a president returning from a holiday should not be big deal. It shouldn't be a big news, right? But the circumstances around the return of Mamadi Doumbouya to Guinea is raising a lot of question. Now, on the ordinary side, everybody was following different speculation, different rumor. The rumor mills have been trending over Guinea, right? And the return of Mamadi Doumbouya should have been a shut up to all the rumor mongers. But according to the information we had, even after President Mamadi Doumbouya surfaced, instead of the rumor to go down, the rumor even intensified. So when I looked at the situation, I was like, what is going on? Are people really, really waiting for him to get out of the way? We don't know. So, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of questions needs to be answered because the exit of a president for an annual leave should not be a big news. But the circumstance around this particular return raise a lot of questions. And ladies and gentlemen, not all of those questions have been answered. Because here's the thing, it was only supposed to be gone for a while. Some people said a little over a week. It came back early. And the reason why it came back early has become the biggest talking point in Guinea Conakry right now. The motorcade was seen, people were seen singing and waving the Guinea flag. Now, let me give you the context first so that we understand why any of this matters. Mamadi Doumbouya took power in 2021 September after the military removed Alpha Conde in December last year. He was elected to a 7-year term. Now, before the election, something interesting happened. He was largely out of the public eye for months. And when questions started, his own advisors had to come out and tell the media he was in good health. So You see, for a head of state visibility, it is not just about being seen, it is about stability, it's about concord, it's about order. The fact that everybody knows the leader is still standing, it's about order. So when a leader disappears from the public spectacle, the rumor mill does not rest. And this is why, family, I give a lot of credit in my respect and in every regard, my humble logomafi to President Ibrahim Traore, Assimi Goita, and Abdurrahmani Chiade. Since these men have been at the helm of affairs, they have never been found wanting for one day. They are humans too. They can fall sick. They are not machines. But ladies and gentlemen, I personally, I have never looked at my screen and any of those three leaders were found wanting. Do you know what that is? Do you know what it means to be absorbing pressure from the West and you are fighting back? You are not fighting back with words. It's not verbal exchange of jabs. You are fighting back with development. You are fighting back with GDP growth. You are fighting back on the counter-terrorism front. You are churning out different rapid intervention brigade. You are fighting back with building of new institutions. You are fighting back with building of roads. You are fighting back on so many levels. Building infrastructure that can promote longevity and promote peace among the people of Burkina Faso. Trying to create order, making sure that internal conflict around religion is being resolved on the platform of equity and justice. So, ladies and gentlemen, being a leader is not easy by any shot at all. Now, you see, Mamadi's Doumbouya's presence in Guinea means a lot to the people of Guinea. And a lot of people might not really understand what the presence of a president means. But now that Mamadi Doumbouya has been away for just days, ladies and gentlemen, it's been days. It's been days. Now look at the quagmire, look at the Vitor status quo answer. You definitely know that when a leader disappears from the public spectacle, the rumor mills does not rest. So fast forward to August this year, the presidency announced that the president was going to be taking an annual leave, something that was supposed to be ordinary. But in the case of Guinea, it is different because this is the first time in the history of Guinea, not even in the time of Sekou Touré, where the Guinean leadership worked non-stop round the clock, 7 times a week and 3 times on Sunday. It wasn't even twice on Sunday during the time of Sekou Touré. It was 3 times on Sunday. A sitting leader never officially in the history of Guinea announced a holiday. So the framing was this was an act of institutional transparency. That was the framing of Mamadi Doumbouya. But then the leave itself became a huge story. Ladies and gentlemen, why is this leave a huge story with regards to Mamadi Doumbouya? Because this is not the first time that Doumbouya is taking this leave with so much impunity. This is the second official public hearing of a leave in 2026 alone. And according to information, there have been multiple episodes. Now, in medicine, I know if you are a medical personnel, you are listening to me, you know what we mean by episodes. When you are clerking your patient, you ask how many episodes of this have they encountered, right? According to information, they said unofficially there have been multiple episodes, all right, of this visitation for medical intervention. Now, stay with me because this story is getting more interesting, right? Now, after this new presentation, the president left Conakry on August 3rd, August 3rd, heading to Greece with his family. Now, within days, the conversation online has shifted completely. People were talking about where he went, they were talking about how he looked, because obviously they you will need a wooden spectacle to know that Mamadi Doumbouya was not emaciated. The man was significantly emaciated. Some people argued that it is because of the stress of being a president that has made him emaciate. And some people are saying that this type of emaciation and massive weight loss within the shortest period of time and occasional experiencing of fatigue, because according to information, Mamadi Doumbouya's walk was no longer a long walk. It was, stopping in spots. And there was this presidential arrangement around it to not make it look obvious. So people are saying that this type of thing is pointing in the direction of a terminal organ failure. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know. All of this is different speculation from God knows where. Now, there were claims about a change in his physical appearance, which was obvious. That was an undisputed truth about weight loss. And I want to be careful here, family, because we do not diagnose anyone from photograph. Who knows? Maybe Mamadi Doumbouya is preparing for the middleweight championship of the world, and he has to drop his weight. What I can tell you is this: the speculation grew loud enough that the president chose to cut his holiday short and return to Guinea. Now, the question a lot of people are asking right now is, if everything was fine, if everywhere is Delta Hotel, ceasefire, why did Mamadi Doumbouya not finish the planned leave? A president does not just usually end his rest because people are talking on social media. So they say that's not how it works. That if Mamadi Doumbouya had to abruptly cancel his leave to return to the country because the order was shifting. Even though they have installed Amara Kamara as the leading figure or symbol for the transition, it seems as though the voices were growing louder. And there is always a power and a force behind too many dissenting voice. It can build up into a momentum, and that type of momentum sometimes it becomes unstoppable. Maybe this is why Mamadi Doumbouya has had to abruptly end his annual leave and return to Guinea to bring about order. Because after he returned to Guinea, some of the things that have been discussed, they are issues that meets the eyes. And this is where the story gets interesting. Because according to information coming from the French investigative journalist in the name Thomas Dietrich on August 3rd, he said not one but two aircrafts left Conakry. There was a presidential plane, and then there was a private jet registered in the Virgin Islands, which had arrived previous days from southern France. Both planes flew to Mykonos. Now, here's the part that raised eyebrow. Shortly after arriving, both aircraft took off again and they landed in Larnaca in Cyprus. Now, why does Cyprus matters? Ladies and gentlemen, Cyprus is known for having medical facilities that attract people seeking medical treatment away from public eyes. And the moment that detail came out, the speculation went from the president is on holiday to the president is receiving medical attention. Whichever version is true, ladies and gentlemen, the rumor mill It's very, very hot. Now, to be clear, the presidency has not confirmed any of this. There is no official statement saying that the president went to Cyprus, none saying that he went to receive medical, intervention. But the silence combined with the early return is what is feeding the question. So, what do you think about that? Because this is where we have to separate facts from rumors. You see, the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, General Ibrahima Sori Bangura, went on national television to read a statement. And what does the statement say? He reaffirmed the armed forces' loyalty, the constant fidelity, and unwavering loyalty to the president. And it called on citizens not to give in to what he called disinformation. Now, family, read that again. A chief of staff does not go on television to pledge loyalty because his president went on holiday. This is not a normal thing. When a military leadership feels the need to publicly declare loyalty, it tells you that something is very, very wrong. It tells you that there is a shift. It tells you that the momentum is not stable. Now, they know the stability narrative is being questioned, and this is not the first time. Back in February, the president left for an African Union summit in Addis Ababa and stayed away for more than 2 weeks. At that time, his advisor had to tell local media that the president had a few days of rest and a routine medical checkup, whose results were, in his words, reassuring. So, in 6 months, we now have two separate absences that really, really catch the attention or catching the attention of the public. Two separate wave of question and two separate official attempts to calm the public. So now here's the part that matters where because it asks a question, where does Guinea go next? Within 48 hours of landing, the president shared an extraordinary, now this is the what they call the meeting that he had after landing back in Conakry on Friday. They said the president shared an extraordinary session of the High Council of National Defense and National Security. And the message coming out of that meeting was clear. It should be heightened vigilance, stronger border surveillance, more patrols, continued modernization of the armed forces. He also swore in newly promoted officer. So, whatever the truth of the question is, ladies and gentlemen, to be very clear, we do not have confirmation either way. The political message of his return is unmistakable. I am back. I am in command. Mamadi Doumbouya is trying to tell everybody, peace, be still. The president is still alive. Amara Kamara was just the face, but I'm back now. And that is the angle I want I want you to see to it. Because for Guinea, a country that has gone through repeated political turbulence on multiple occasions, the real story is not the rumor. It is how a leader, after an absence, that raises question, reasserts control, security, borders, the military. Those were the first three things on the table. It seemed as though the presidency understood what exactly needed to happen to close this chapter, at least try. A president goes on an historical, officially announced holiday because it's the first time in the history of Guinea Conakry. Mamadi Doumbouya looked too strong to have this type, to be having this type of annual leave. I mean, if you look at all the presidents in Africa, physically, that guy looks like the strongest. If you are to go by eye test, you know, you would think this guy is tall, is huge. Mamadi Doumbouya is a freaking giant. So to be going on multiple Earth leave and all of that, man, it says something different. Because look, Mamadi Doumbouya is a mammoth, is a beast. So to be going on this soft, the number of holidays or sick leave he had embarked upon is too soft for that type of frame. So the questions about his health follows. Two planes, a stop in Cyprus, an early return, a chief of staff pledging loyalty, and within 2 days, the president is chairing a national security council meeting where they are talking on heightening the security and defense of the country. Whether the rumors are true or not, This was a leader managing an optic crisis in real time and using the instrument of sovereignty to do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, the question that remains is whether the public will accept the official silence on the earth matters. Because in politics, as in everything else, unanswered questions does not disappear. They wait, and they wait for the necessary time to reappear again. So, what do you think about that? Let me know what your opinion in the comment section is. Now, what do I think? I think there was an abrupt pause in whatever was supposed to happen in Greece, in Lanaka, or wherever, maybe in Cyprus, right? What I would say is this: Mamadi Doumbouya could have probably traveled for health leave or for medical intervention. But the rumor from within Guinea, from outside Guinea, was becoming too heavy for the people in transition, for the people in administration. And let me be honest with you, right? Some of the heaviest voices across the continent of Africa as we speak is the voice of the Pan Africanists. And the resilience of the people within Guinea alone is something that should not be overlooked. And apart from that, I think the record at home is not really free. It's not really pure like that. Because let me be honest with you, family. You see where I am now, this vicinity of mine. If you tell me the world is coming down, no matter where I am, if I'm not gonna be around, I'm not gonna be around. I know everybody everywhere is going to be okay because I've paid my bills. I've paid my dues. I grew up, I was raised, my dad raised me among the age mate of my dad. So those were the people I sit with, those were the people I talk to. So the way I think is way above the level of my contemporaries. That is why I did not have the luxury growing up to have friends of my age group. The people I've always had the opportunity to sit with, to dialogue with, are people that are like 30, 40, 50 years ahead of me. Most of them, they are gone. Rest in peace to them, right? These are the people I sit with. So I've never had the opportunity, right? So these were the people that taught me that for you to be all right, the first thing you need to do is to make sure the next person to you is all right. That is why I've never worried about security issues because the first neighbor will defend the second neighbor. So as long as the first brother is okay, the second brother is okay, the third brother is okay, you can close your eyes and sleep because you know you are not alone. But when you look at the situation of Mamadi Doumbouya, the fact that they had to create a lot of blockade to blockade another blockade to blockade another blockade, it means Mamadi Doumbouya is not, he did not take care of business the right way. He has not done the right thing. That means the whole influence of Mamadi Doumbouya has only circulated around a few minority. And now the task of defending his image will now be saddled by those few minority. That is why it's becoming very hard. That is why Mamadi Doumbouya has to automatically return, regardless of his health status or his situation, from wherever he is right now. And that is so sad. That is so unfortunate. Ladies and gentlemen, according to the information we had, Mamadi Doumbouya, one of the biggest credits we give to him from the Pan African Society is that he has never allowed his territory to be used as a staging point or as a launch pad for an attack against the AES. The AES have used the port of Conakry for transport of their capabilities that is coming from Europe, that's coming from all over the place. you know, down through Conakry, then to Mali. And from Mali, it has been redistributed to the rest of the AES states. Then the port of Tema, then the port of Lomé. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is surprising. It's just of recent that the whole Guinea Conakry port, conversation just got toned down because of the severe and enormous level of international pressure that Mamadi Doumbouya has been taking from the foreign partners. And this is why a lot of people have been talking that Guinea needs more sovereignty. And Mamadi Doumbouya cannot guarantee that sovereignty. Because Mamadi Doumbouya is not a puppet of France. He is a puppet of the US. Don't forget, the United States trained Mamadi Doumbouya. They commissioned him. He has the core values of African. It was after he was trained by African immediately. That was when he took power in Guinea. And according to the information I've been able to gather in the last couple of days, they said the day Mamadi Doumbouya took power through a coup d'etat in Guinea, American soldiers were all over the streets. So it begs the question, when Mamadi Doumbouya arrested those two American pilots and locked them up in the prison of Conakry for more than 2 months, was that for optics? Was that for optics? That was a message for who? Who were they trying to deceive? Because that's a big question. When Mamadi Doumbouya arrested those two American pilots, they call them private pilots. So when he arrested them and he locked them up for 2 months in Guinea Conakry, that photo ops, that optics, and it's really, really made a lot of buzz around the social media. So my question is, what was it trying to achieve by doing that? You see, that's the thing about life. You don't need to waste a lot of energy to tell the truth. It is only when you have lied. You need energy to remind yourself that you have lied so that you stay on point. You need extra energy and dedication to build up another lie, to layer the lie that you've told before. You need to build another lie because people want more over time. So Mamadi Doumbouya has done a lot of things that has made him, you know, undefendable. We cannot in the Pan-African society defend Mamadi Doumbouya. And most especially, what we are hearing from Guinea, ladies and gentlemen, is nothing to write home about. Now, let me say this before I go. I've even heard that his own family, they are not happy with it. He has family in the United States. They said they are not happy with the move that he has made recently. Now, let me say this. If you are to take people one by one and ask them about almost every leader in the continent of Africa, people will say good things. Regardless of what people say, some people will still say bad things. So Mamadi Doumbouya is only human, but then he is a puppet. But I'm just saying that every condemnation is not 100% correct, and every praise might not always be 100% acceptable at all times. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the point where we're at. This is the current situation of Mamadi Doumbouya, and the people of Guinea are back on this one again. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just said I should update you. Now, if Mamadi Doumbouya, after this meeting, if he is going to leave Guinea Conakry, I will be bringing the information to you as things unfold in the next couple of days. So I will make sure I keep you updated. Family, I really want to appreciate you for coming. This is the update we said we should bring to you. Thank you And God bless you, man. A luta continua, Victoria Santa. A patrie de l'amour, homeland of death. You definitely know who overcome.